What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of the Agency Profits podcast. And this podcast is all about entrepreneurship, stepping out of your comfort zone, talking about the mindset behind entrepreneurship and everything in between. Really, my goal is to be as transparent as possible and give as much value as possible through this podcast by sharing things that are working with my business right now, things that we're introducing and testing, some of the things that we are planning to do as well, kind of in the future with how much the industry is constantly changing. And more than anything, bringing on guests to come on and share insights as well. So that's basically what this podcast is going to be about. And it's going to be pretty casual in the sense that there's not going to be a ton of editing or crazy scripts, but basically whatever that's coming to mind, and the things that I'm going through at that very moment in time, I'm going to kind of be sharing it with you guys to be fully as transparent as possible. And with business, with entrepreneurship, it's a lot of the mindset stuff, but more than anything too, there's a lot of ups and downs, with business. And I think a lot of people are very good at talking about the ups, but not so good at, being transparent and talking about some of the downs. And for me, there's a lot of ups and downs in business and just my day to day, even sometimes, that I'm going to be fully transparent and open with you guys about. So hopefully you guys enjoy. But I wanted to start this first episode off with kind of my story and how I got into entrepreneurship and, the mindset behind it and some of the things that I kind of felt at the time. And kind of segue into the rest of the other episodes from there, because I think it's super important you guys get to know who I am. And you guys might be following me on Instagram or Facebook right now. And you might not get to see this side of me where I'm as a little more interactive with you guys. So with that being said, my entrepreneurship journey started quite a few years ago, basically when I was 17 years old. And at that time, I was, well, actually, maybe even before that. It was actually probably when I was in high school. And my mom had enrolled me into this thing called Junior Achievement. And for those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's basically like a few volunteers who, help you start like this mini business. So this business that I initially started with a group of people, it was like probably a group of like 10 other high school students. And basically what we did at like 15 years old was like order these collapsible water bottles, got the logo printed on it and things like that. And then really we started just like selling it. So we got a kiosk and sold it. And I think in a couple months, I think the program was like, I don't know, it was like a couple months of setup and then like 2 or 3 months of actually selling it. We sold like, I don't know, 6 grand or something like that. So I think we sold quite a few units because obviously it wasn't very expensive. But that was kind of my first intro into entrepreneurship. So it was really cool because, although it wasn't like a crazy successful business, I still kind of went through the steps of like finding the water bottle, finding a supplier, getting that shipped over. And then from there, actually ordering a bunch of units and things like that. So it was pretty cool in that sense, that I was able to get to do that. But that was my kind of first foray into entrepreneurship. So couple of years go by, I'm in university now. And because I born in December, I ended up going, when went to university, I was still 17. And this person had walked in one of my lectures and basically had pitched being able to work my own business and basically work outside and said all this amazing stuff, and come to find out it was a window cleaning slash house painting franchise. So I'll dive into a little bit more of that later on, but that was kind of like the first presentation, so to speak. I decided to toss my name in, and because I was 17, I couldn't really sign up or really sign like the legal contracts and things like that to buy into this franchise. So and I also didn't have the money. And keep in mind, I was in school for business. So this was interesting in the sense, like when I first got into business, my whole goal was to become a corporate lawyer. And this didn't really align with that because, when you're going into law school and you're trying to become a corporate lawyer, it's better to do like internships with, the big four companies and things like that. But I didn't, for some reason, I was being pulled towards this entrepreneurship thing. Something inside me told me to go down that route. But there's a couple friction points. One being that I was 17 and super, super young, and I wasn't, legally old enough to be able to do so. Right. The next part is the next part of it is that I didn't have any money to buy into a franchise. So I had to take a loan out to be able to do so. And funny enough, the franchise company was able to, one, give a loan. So that's how they get university students to do so. And the second thing was that I was able to borrow some money as well, a couple $1,000 from my parents to, cover some of the startup costs. So I decided at the end of the day to jump into this window cleaning / house painting franchise. And I did that. And I did that very, very well for 4 years. So it was interesting because at the time I can't tell you why I decided to jump into it because it just felt right at the time. But also there was a lot of like people judging, I would say, people who were in my business program who were like, well, shouldn't you be working at this internship? Or, I'm going to be working at this company here. I got this offer here. And they're like talking about how they're going to go suit shopping and get these nice suits and these nice clothes for this corporate job that they just got. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go buy some squeegees and, some painter whites and things like that. So very, very polar opposite. Right. So I definitely felt judgment from people who were around me and things like that. So again, it wasn't like, when I look back at it, it wasn't like it was full alignment with the goal that I was trying to do, which was essentially at the time become a corporate lawyer. But for some reason, I decided that, starting this business would make sense. And it was the best decision that I ever made. So my mindset at the time was what's there to lose? There's always going to be these corporate jobs that are around, and worst case I lose some time, or worst case I try this out for a summer and I still have 3 years of my university career to find these jobs and things like that. And I get to make a bunch of money and run my own business. Now, it was really, really difficult. So that first summer, I was able to do like $50,000 or something like that, or $100,000, and not that was revenue, not all of it was profit, and I had the loans and stuff like that to pay off and things. But it was all in all a good year. I was able to pay off my school. I was able to live off of it for the year and didn't really have to work a job through the year. And then I did it again for another summer. And how I would go and do this really well is, basically I'm just a super hard worker. So I would just go door to door. So in the days I would go, to university and do my classes and things like that. And then in the evenings, I would just go door to door every day. And I would go door to door in the winter when it was cold and minus 30 Celsius. So I'm in Canada. So, if you guys know Canadian winters, they are absolutely freezing, snow past my knees. And it was just horrendous, right? No one was going door to door at that time. And because I was going door to door when no one else would, I would get a bunch of leads that no one else would, right? So I was doing the hard work that no one else wanted to do. And eventually, I just grew this client base to a point where I was doing a couple $100,000 in revenue in a summer. My profit margins were about 25-30%. So, I was making quite a bit of money for a summer student, right? Or sorry, for a university student working in the summers. But I was doing a lot of pre-work in the winters that, like I said, nobody wanted to do. So it was basically a full-time job while I was in university. And then I got to a point where I hired, a team of 10. I had a marketing team, which is basically people who would go out door to door knocking for me, and I would do the estimates. And then I would also have basically a team of house painters and a team of window cleaners as well, who would actually do the work. So I was, running a legitimate business. I turned it into a legitimate business that was doing, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year. And it was, for me, an amazing experience because I was maybe like, my first year I was 17 and then turned 18 in the summer and, did all that stuff. So between the years of like 18 and 22 years old, I learned a ton in business. I made so many mistakes. I learned how taxes worked. I learned all this stuff. And it was such a crazy learning experience within those 4 years that it honestly segued into what I'm doing now, which I'll definitely explain a little bit more of. But yeah, that was how kind of my entrepreneurship journey started. And you're probably wondering like how the hell it all kind of segues into digital marketing. So because we were doing so much door to door and things like that, I also wanted to find a way to get leads that wasn't door to door. So how I started running ads was I was testing ads for myself, running ads for my own business, and I was basically running Facebook ads and basically doing very, very simple ads that would get me house painting clients. And that's how I learned. So, I basically would run these ads, trial and error, and test them and things like that. And then, it was working out really well. Didn't think much of it. At that point, it was just like, for me, I was trying to grow this, painting, window cleaning thing. And like I said, it got to a point where it was really, really good. We were making lots of money and it was one of the best decisions I made. And, still funny enough, at that time, I was still kind of embarrassed about it because it wasn't one of those, well, first off, every time I said it, they're like, oh, so you're like painting houses all the time. Like, yeah, we do house painting, but I'm not personally painting houses. I'm not the one on the ladders. Like, people couldn't comprehend how someone at my age could be running a business in such a competitive industry with people who have been doing this for 30 years who are still house painting and stuff. So I just always thought that was funny looking back at it because I used to just stop telling people what I did because I was super, super embarrassed about things like that. So and these were to people who were like working in corporate and peers who were in the same business program that I was in and yada yada yada. So anyhow, so after I graduated university, my plan was to go to law school, and I was on the way to doing that. And then also had gotten an offer at a 9 to 5 working for a tech company. And funny enough, I got this offer. And again, that feeling I was talking about how, entrepreneurship was just pulling me. I had this offer secured and I was ready to go and had gone in and done some work with them for a little bit and things like that. And then, for some reason, I just want to run my own business. And I bought into, a program where it kind of taught you marketing and things like that. And I had purchased a couple before because of the house painting, window cleaning thing. And I was basically learning how to run ads, and I knew how to run ads, right? And I did run ads for my own business and we did pretty well. So that's when the idea started, because I started hearing a lot of people talk about marketing agencies and how Facebook ads were, absolutely becoming the next big thing and all this stuff. Mind you, this was back in 2016. Okay, so I ended up buying, a course that told me how to become a marketing agency, how to run, ads and all this stuff. And I started doing it, and I didn't do it very well at the beginning. I was all over the place. I was running an agency that worked with anyone and everyone, and I was basically desperate for clients. I would just, take on anyone who would basically give me a shot, which is totally fine. I understood I had to start somewhere. And I went through a lot of ups and downs, but eventually I landed on, a program that told me to, niche down and start focusing on one thing. And that's when I started seeing success. So I probably went through ups and downs for like 6, 7, or even 8 months where I would get a client, lose a client, or I would get a client for this new service and I'd have to go hire it out. And then I would lose money on that project. And also the client just wasn't happy with the results. So, it was a lot of ups and downs. And even with the experience I had of running a business and making every mistake, and I thought I was going to smash it out at the park with the marketing agency right out the gate, it was so new to me that the learning curve was so steep. And it was steep because I made it a lot more difficult. I was overcomplicating it, and yeah, I don't know. I just did things poorly. So anyhow, I started running I started running ads for people in the roofing industry. So that was the niche I niched down into after I bought this program on niching down and all this stuff. So I started niching down into roofers, and I started getting really, really good results. Mind you, I would still take on some home services here and there, but mostly roofers, I'd say. And that's when my agency started taking off, and it started scaling from there. I got to, 15K a month pretty quickly after that. Then I got to about 50K a month. And then I brought in a business partner where we started really expanding it, and it got to 100K a month. And that was really, really amazing because I never thought it would get there. But yeah, it definitely was not an easy ride. So I'm kind of summing it all up. And in between all that, I did a lot of cool stuff. I went traveling abroad for basically 2.5 years, 3 years, all over Asia. Spent most of my time in Asia, then went to Europe for a bit, and lived in Germany for a while, and then decided to go to the UK, and then ended up back in Canada when the craziness with the world and everything like that happened. And then there was a lot of ups and downs in between all that. And at that point, my business partner and I had split up. I took over the agency, and I also started Agency Profits, which is where we help people start and grow their own marketing agency using all the skill sets and everything that I've learned over the past few years, kind of bundled up into, a business in a box, so to speak. So yeah, so I started that in kind of, I guess, towards the end of the Q2 of 2020. So that would have been like May of 2020. And then basically it started scaling up from there really, really quick. A lot of people, especially a lot of people when I was traveling and things like that, were asking, how I'm running ads for these companies in the US and Canada and, all over the world. And I'm basically, traveling as well. So yeah, I spent like I said, 2.5 years in Asia pretty much, and then spent some time in UK and Europe. But during that whole time, it was all funded by the marketing agency. And that's why I really believe in the marketing agency, because the house painting and the window cleaning side was really, really cool, but it didn't allow me to do that. There was no way I could have been living abroad or traveling or, doing the things that I wanted. I ultimately had just created a job for myself, doing that. And it was super, super stressful. I was working like 14, 15 hours a day in the summers from basically, that's all I did. I didn't have summers. I didn't have, fun summers where I got to travel or do any fun stuff. It was just painting and window cleaning all day long. So this was different. I was able to scale up a business to $100,000 a month, seven-figure business, while traveling, living my life, and getting all this experience, this life experience, and this freedom. And that to me is absolutely incredible. And that's why I believe this is the best business model ever. Marketing is the basis for every business. Every business needs marketing. And marketing has been around for a really long time, whether that's newspaper ads or the yellow pages or Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, YouTube ads, whatever it is. But there's always going to be a place to run ads. Okay. So that's why I love marketing. And that's why we started Agency Profits. And since Agency Profits started, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people to help them, start their own agency and teach them kind of the skill sets of marketing and advertising and digital marketing, how to hone in on their own niche, how to hone in on one service, how to craft an amazing offer. And that's not my passion now, is helping people get into the online marketing game. And that's what we've been doing with Agency Profits ever since. And yeah, we're a multi-seven-figure business, and we keep growing, and we're continue to grow. And we also still do the agency side as well. So, so basically that's where we are today. And I wanted to kind of share that with you guys so you guys could get to know me a little bit. And as to, and now as to why I'm so passionate about it. People are always like, well, why did you decide to start Agency Profits, right? If the agency makes so much money, then why not just stick to doing the marketing agency? I'm still doing the marketing agency, guys. I definitely am. That makes great money, but as cliche as it is, money is really, really great. I think it solves a lot of problems. I think it definitely makes life a lot less stressful. But I also think, like, to a certain extent, you have to have enjoyment and passion for things outside of money. So what I mean by that is, yeah, I can make great money with the marketing agency for sure. But it's not the most fun talking to roofers day in and day out about Facebook ads and launching the same campaigns over and over and over again, right? Although we do a great job for them and a great job for any of our clients, it's not the most fun. But what's fun is having conversations like this. What's fun is helping people where when I was a young kid and didn't know what I wanted to do and got pulled into entrepreneurship and how seeing how that changed my life and my trajectory. And I'm basically, I'm 28 now, and I feel like my entrepreneurship journey is still, such a long ways out from being over. And how I get to learn every single day, it just brings so much fulfillment. And if I can help someone, start on that journey wherever they are, whether you've been stuck in a 9 to 5 for a really, really long time and you're ready to finally start your own business, or start and learn, or whether this is just going to be a side hustle or whatever it is, that's what really, really lights a fire. And that's what's super, super fun to me, is having conversations like this. So that's why I started Agency Profits. That's why I do what I do. And that's why, we, in our program and everything like that, I get so involved because I really, really do care. And it's so fun to me. So that's why I started Agency Profits, guys, because, I wanted to really make an impact, and this is my ability to make an impact. So anyhow, that's my entrepreneurship journey, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So I think for now, let's call it here before the next episode. And this is kind of the stuff we're going to be talking about, guys, is just entrepreneurship as a whole. Me kind of sharing my story, me sharing things that we're doing, the stuff that we've done and failed at, so that way you can learn from my mistakes, and then bringing on guests. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this very, very first episode, and we're going to be doing more like this. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts is, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, guys.